Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome.
When you're free to test your limits, you can.
Sorry. Pop-up ads. Welcome to a home edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProChargeEV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, hope your day is off to a fantastic start. Breaking out the patent leather Jordan 1s. Fired up about this. I worn these once. Wore them to the fights in Vegas back in February or March. But I made one critical mistake. Didn't put my crease protectors in them when I was back in Vegas for the fights. So I creased them pretty badly too. Disappointed in myself for the effort, but got the crease protectors so as to mitigate any further damage here. So we're gonna go ahead and put the crease protectors in, and I have these handy dandy shoe shine wipes that I got from, I would assume that's from China, Chinese writing there. And hopefully this mitigates further damage to my sneaks. All right, so hope your morning's off to a great start. Interesting day yesterday, of course. LSU baseball is getting set for Super Regional play to host Super Regionals against Kentucky. Tigers haven't hosted Super Regionals since 2019 when Florida State came in here and upset the Tigers. If you remember that year, of course, LSU went to Eugene, won the Eugene Regional, and then Florida State upset Georgia, and so the Tigers got to host Florida State, and Florida State came here and beat LSU. The phenomenal outing by Devin Fontenot. Extra innings and in relief, and but the Tigers still came up short that day. So, anywho, Tigers played. Of course, there was no postseason in 2020 due to COVID, and then the Tigers. Oh man, dag nabbit, that made too much sense, didn't it? Oh well. I have to get a Ziploc bag or something here. Tigers. There was no postseason in 2020, and then in 2021, Tigers went and played in Knoxville after. Forgive me, I said they won the Eugene Regional in 2019. No, they didn't. They won the Baton Rouge Regional in 2019. They won the Eugene Regional in 2021, and then went and played Tennessee up there in Knoxville, and lost that Knoxville Super Regional. So anyway, I don't know if I should use these wipes on patent leather. We're about to find out. Should be good. Looks like we're good. It's gonna dry. Good. Looks good. Okay, good. This worked well. Clean the bottoms there. Clean the soles. So anyway, so LSU's getting ready to play Kentucky this weekend. Best of 3 Super Regional. It'll be Saturday through Monday. In case you missed it, excellent news. T-Bob and I will be live for Whiskey and Wine Saturday at Don Juan Cigar Bar. So y'all come hang, if you can, at Don Juan on Saturday. Come watch the game with us. And if you can't, come hang out on the Watch 145 ESPN YouTube channel for Whiskey and Wine as soon as the game goes final. So forgive me for being partly distracted. Jason Horn just said, "What's up, Matt Shoegain?" Jason, I'm not sure if you were here to see, but going with the patent leather Jordan 1s, fired up about it, but adding the crease protectors to them and give them a little clean with these shoe shine wipes. So, anywho, that's the right one. Let's see how this goes. I can't believe I brought these to Vegas without the freaking crease protectors in them. A couple of football stories yesterday that were really relevant. If y'all saw Trey Bradford back at LSU, how about that wild story? His third stint now at LSU, signed in 2020, played in 5 games. If you remember, he caught the swing pass for a touchdown against Florida in the fall game in 2020 down in the swamp. After 2020, transfers to Oklahoma, but never plays. That summer announced he was transferring back to LSU. his dad goes on these Oklahoma message boards, like apologizing to Oklahoma fans because he wanted his son to play at Oklahoma. It's like, this wasn't our decision, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay, dude, how about support your son and not a bunch of nerds on a message board, but whatever. So Bradford comes back to LSU. He gets the eligibility waiver from the NCAA because he left LSU and went to Oklahoma and enrolled and then came back. But he gets the eligibility waiver. He ends up only playing in one game that year. It was the Texas A&M game. And he had 2 rushing attempts in that game. But so he and then after 2021, he stays. Of course, Ogeron gets fired. Brian Kelly gets hired. He goes through spring under Brian Kelly. And then like in August, just this past August, he's no longer on the team. Brian Kelly, in this press conference, we played the audio in AFR yesterday if you missed it, but Brian Kelly in his press conference is like, yeah, Trey Bradford's been removed, separated from the university, is what he said. So it was a thing, and he even said like, there are laws, I can't discuss this and that. So like, it seemed like a pretty serious thing for whatever reason. Trey Bradford was no longer enrolled at LSU. Like, he didn't say he's not on the team. He said he's been separated from the university. So sounded serious, but anyway, now we find out yesterday Trey Bradford's back on the roster. So it's so bizarre that this guy, and I wish him well. I mean, I wish all these college athletes well. I mean, I want them to succeed and certainly do well at LSU, but just succeed in life. But it's just so bizarre because typically, when that ship sails and the opportunity passes for you to be at a school, you don't typically come back. I mean, we see it sometimes with like recruits, like you may sign with a team, but you don't make grades, so you go the JUCO route, and then after JUCO, you end up back at that school. Like, that happens. This path, however, is super bizarre, where you play at a school, leave, go to another school, come back before ever playing at that school, get eligible as a coaching change, you get dismissed, and then sit out of football for a year, then a year later you're back at that school. Just a really bizarre series of events. And if you look at the running back position for LSU, and Bradford, by the way, is a redshirt sophomore, so he's still got 3 seasons left. He can play 23, 24, 25, because the COVID year obviously didn't count, and then he's got a redshirt year, so which would have been this past year. So pretty wild. In any way. So, and then Michael Thomas was at Saints OTAs yesterday on the field, which is great to see. Looks by all appearances, ahead of schedule, which is really cool to see. And, I'm still, oh no. I dripped something on my shirt. I think it might have been the cleaning solution from the shoe wipes. Dag nabbit. Maybe it'll dry. No. Anyway. So good to see Michael Thomas out there. So on his way back, onward. So let's see. We'll say some good mornings here. I see some of y'all also commented about the LSU pitching coach search. I gave you 3 names yesterday. Nate Yeske is, I think, the guy who's most likely to get it. Yeske was Jay Johnson's pitching coach at Arizona. Yeske is at A&M presently, is their pitching coach under Schlossnagle. So bringing Yeske to Baton Rouge would make a lot of sense. I kind of asked the question, well, why didn't Jay bring Yeske with him from Arizona when he got the job? Didn't really get a great answer on that. If Yeske is the hire, then we'll probably ask Jay that question. I'm curious what his answer will be. But so Nate Yeske is, I think, who is ultimately going to get this job. Corey Mascara is another name that I mentioned to you yesterday. He's the Wake Forest pitching coach. I think you kick the tires there. He's done a great job at Wake. However, I'm told he's probably in line to be Wake Forest's next head coach. So he may not leave. of course, Tom Walter is the head coach over at Wake. And interesting story about Tom Walter, as you might remember, Tom Walter was the coach at UNO, and um, um, UNO had like this huge season where like they, I think, maybe led the nation in home runs or something like that. Anyway, so he got the Wake Forest job, left UNO, got the Wake Forest job after he left UNO. And I mean, when he was at UNO, like they made the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Like I remember they either led the nation. I know they set like school records for homers. They pounded the baseball when he was at UNO, and this is. I mean, this was like 07, 08. As I was doing the fastest hour with Ennis at this point when that was going down. But anyway, he got hired at UNO in 2010, or at Wake Forest in 2010. So it'll be interesting to see if how much longer that he coaches. But long story short, is ultimately what I've been told is it's likely that Mascara is the heir apparent there at UNO. So maybe he stays at UNO. I keep saying UNO, sorry, at Wake Forest. And the other name that I've mentioned is Robert Woodward. He's the head coach at Charlotte. And I think something that sounds counterintuitive is like, well, why would you leave a head coaching job to be a pitching coach? Well, look at what the last two LSU pitching coaches have done. Jason Kelly, 1 year, became the head coach at Washington. Wes Johnson, 1 year, head coach at Georgia. You know what I mean? So like what is pretty clear is, and I remember I had this conversation with, I've had this conversation with several people in and around college baseball. The smaller school head coaching job isn't necessarily the stepping stone to a larger job anymore. Being an assistant at the larger school is the sort of stepping stone, like Jason Kelly and Wes Johnson just did. So, and look by contrast at. By the way, it's not to say that never happens, but you are. It's certainly more likely and more apparent to be like the assistant at the big prominent program to get your head coaching opportunity. Like look at Justin Hill. Justin Hill is at McNeese. He's been there a while now. He's done a great job there at McNeese. He's made their program relevant, but I mean, he was in the mix for the Southeastern job, and I think he could have taken that job if he wanted it, but there's some circumstances that probably kept him in Lake Charles. I think his wife's a business owner, and they're kind of happy there and got some roots. But anyway, but point being, like, he's not being interviewed for major college jobs, right? He was, they were interested in him at Southeastern. So I think the LSU pitching coach job is going to be very desirable. Whoever it is will make a lot of money, and we'll have an opportunity for a stepping stone to become a head coach. So, if I had to guess, today, Nate Yeske would be the answer. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Here we go. Quentin Brakebill, good morning. Bart St. Germain, Charlie Cavell, Jacob Willis. Is Kevin Falk coming back to the LSU football staff? Not that I know of. But then again, Jacob, I haven't asked or had reason to ask that question. Darren Bone, good morning. Have you heard any rumors, names for pitching coach? There you go. Just went through that. Andrew Johnson, Jason Austin, seems like we're loaded at running back. You got a lot of numbers at running back, Jason. The tricky part is who is really going to emerge, and is anyone in that group a true bell cow option? And I don't know that exists. I think Logan Diggs is your most talented back that you have. Kid just transferred in from Notre Dame. Noah Cain's back and healthy, which is encouraging. You're going to have Armani Goodwin coming off an injury. Josh Williams is back. You're waiting to see if John Emery's going to be eligible. They like the 2 true freshmen, but I don't think either Holly or Jackson are players that are going to be 15, 20 carry game guys. So you got a lot of depth. I don't think you have like the A player in that. Like you don't have a Kevin Falk, a Leonard Fournette, a Jeremy Hill. You don't have that guy that's going to be the all-SEC running back. Clyde. Let's see, Reagan Lee, Corey Mascara would be a good hire. I think Jay is going to get his guy, though. I'll trust whoever he hired will be great. I'll tell you the one other thing I was told last night, which was very interesting, is don't rule out Jay getting another big league pitching coach, which kind of blew my mind, but he may do that again. Kelly Gross, good morning. Bubba Tatum, Deborah Cowart, hey Dad, good morning. Trivia Carter, Matt Plavidal, Brian Penton, good morning from H-Town, okay. Wendell Norman, Brandon Tilley, Ricky Lambert, Larry Garner, Brett DeGrow, what's going on? Yeah, man. Super Regional Baseball at the Box this weekend, Saturday. T-Bob and I will be at Don Juan Cigar Bar. So we are going to do a Super Regional Whiskey and Wine on Saturday. Looking forward to it. So T-Bob and I will be at Don Juan to watch the game at 2 o'clock. And then as soon as the game ends, we'll fire up post game. We'll fire up Whiskey and Wine. So if you be there, join us. If not, watch us on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Bert Boy 878, good morning. Who's on the AFR schedule today? So Wednesdays are kind of Wednesdays are a little bit of a packed day because this wasn't by design, but we have a bunch of benchmark segments on Wednesdays. So like in hour 1, we've got both Around the SEC and Taylor Calandro. In hour 2, we've got Overrated, Underrated, and Tigers and the Pros. And then in hour 3, we've got Pluckers Trivia and Otter Locks. So really, half of the show's 12 segments. Each hour has 4 10 to 12 minute segments. So I've already got 6 segments of the show on Wednesday booked before I even start prepping it. So I know today we'll talk Saints OTAs, and Jay Johnson and LSU players meet the media today at 2 o'clock. So by the time we start the show at 3, anything significant or of note from that media availability we'll be talking about today as well. Eric Wilderrotter, good morning. Jay Johnson said in postgame Monday that the forecast did play a small role in Skene's decision. At what % chance rain would you think about holding him on Saturday? Man, you would really have to ask me that again on Friday or Saturday morning. I'm like Eric, I'm not dodging the question, but I'm not going to look at a forecast today on Wednesday and say, well, they're showing, 30% chance of rain on Saturday. Because like Monday, of all the games from this past weekend, Monday was the day that looked the worst. I mean, you had as much as a 50% chance of thunderstorms from 1 o'clock all the way to like 3 a.m. I mean, it didn't rain. So, at least not on campus. So, I mean, I think you proceed as expected. Brian Wynn, Antron Hemingway, good morning. Yeah, man, next game Saturday, 2 o'clock. Jordan Coleman, Tim Gotro, Weston Weaver, good morning. Guess my joke about Skene's pitching on Saturday was right yesterday. Yeah, man. See, I mean, by the way, so for everyone who said, well, look, if you had held Skenes to Saturday or then Sunday, you'd have thrown off your rotation. Well, now your first game Saturday, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So, look, I would rather just not have that conversation anymore. It's done. Jay made the decision he did. Overwhelmingly, people disagreed with it. I would say it was 90-10 in disagreement with what Jay Johnson did. It doesn't mean it can't work. He took a risk. He took an unnecessary risk. It worked. He had his reasons for doing it. It worked. Tigers won. They advanced. Now we all know you reset. Skenes is going at the front of the rotation for the Supers. He'll go at the front of the rotation for Omaha. And that's that. So we don't need to have this conversation anymore. Mark McCarter, will Gorilla Glue help me keep dentures in? I mean, Mark, I would assume it would. I wouldn't recommend that, though. But I would consult your dentist. Brent Roban from Knoxville, Tennessee. Let's see, Tennessee fans whining about the host site. So Brant, so this may be a little unknown, and I'm telling you, I'm not guessing here. Like, this is a fact. When you have a circumstance like that, where, and for those that aren't familiar, Tennessee and Southern Miss were both 2 seeds, and they won their respective regionals, and both were very closely seeded. Now, the committee does not reveal their seeding 1 to 64. We get the top 16 and the top 8, right? But we do not get 1 to 64. So that the people in that room would know who they have seated higher. However, because I did ask this question yesterday, it goes to a bid. So before the regionals start, each team would put in a bid to host a super if it came down to that. So ultimately what happened, Brant, is Southern Miss outbid Tennessee. Now, maybe Tennessee just didn't think they were going to get an opportunity to host a super. Maybe they didn't think they were going to win the Clemson region. I don't know. But what I do know is that Southern Miss outbid Tennessee. I was told that, period, point blank, yesterday. Southern Miss outbid Tennessee, which is why they're hosting. Their bid to host the Super was more attractive than Tennessee's. Throw that one out there for some of your Tennessee fans. Guy Brooks, Matt Plavidal, what's going on? Ray Langlois, Bailey C. If the Saints don't go 10-7 with this schedule and division, everyone should be fired, right? Yeah. Tim Gotro, Tennessee fans may be mad about going to Hattiesburg, but I can't any sympathy for them. Yeah. Cliff Nelson, Jared Esprit, good morning. Ryan Pike, have a hunch they're prepping for a possibility that Emory won't be available. Yeah, Ryan, I mean, at this point, I think we've all said it. That's got to be a safe assumption, right? I mean, the fact that he wasn't there in spring, you've added Logan Diggs, and now you've added Trey Bradford as well. The shocking thing to me is, if you're John Emory, why did you come back? You know, like, he could be in the NFL right now. If he weren't guaranteed or going to play, why did he come back? So, man, what a tough decision for Emory if he's not eligible for any or all of the season. Tiger Diver, who are the leading candidates to replace Wes Johnson? Went through that a bit ago. I believe it's going to be Nate Yeske, pitching coach at Texas A&M, was Jay Johnson's pitching coach at Arizona. Robert Woodward, who's the head coach at Charlotte, is also on the list, and I'm told he would take the job. We've mentioned Corey Mascara, who's the pitching coach at Wake Forest, although I don't think he's leaving Wake Forest. I think he's the heir apparent there to Tom Walter. And the other thing that's the wild card I was told yesterday is Jay might go and get another major league pitching coach like he did with Wes. Gulf South, good morning. You know, it's been up with 100.3 New Orleans. Yes, and my apologies for that. Their tower was struck by lightning. So, so they're working to get their tower back up and operational, but that's why we haven't been on. So in the meantime, you can stream us, 1045ESPN.com, the 1045 app, or the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. But yes, that's what's happened in NOLA. Their tower was struck by lightning. Jesse Brown, when you say outbid, does that mean money and facilities? Yeah, so Jesse, that's how regionals used to be awarded. It was a bid process. You would basically submit a bid to the NCAA saying, this is how much money we think our regional will make. When LSU hosted for like 13 straight years or whatever it was, that wasn't merit-based. I mean, LSU was a great team and all, but it wasn't merit-based. That's how regional bids were divvied up. The NCAA just looked and said, okay, where can we make the most money? And at the box, you had a 6,000 seat stadium, and they packed it. So nobody else had that at the time. So yes, so basically the teams had to put forth bids to host, to be the super regional host if it came down to that, and ultimately Southern Miss's bid was more attractive than Tennessee's. Wow. I mean, a team from CUSA outbidding a team from the SEC is stunning. Let's see, Ronnie Duga, good morning. Eric Wilderrider, I probably missed this. I thought the NCAA changed the playoff rules. Better seed is home team in every game. So, Eric, that's what I think a lot of the assumption was. The home team would be, I'm sorry, the higher seed would be the home team in the championship game. So, like, if you got to a game 7 winner take all in the regional, the home team would be the host. The higher seed would be the home team. Marty Moonbeam, good morning. Yeah, Ronnie crazy about Indiana State. Logistically unable to host this weekend. Crazy. So they have to go on the road to TCU. Oof. Samuel Smith, game-by-game prediction for the weekend. Yeah, Samuel, I think LSU wins it in 2. Interesting about Kentucky is they are a dramatically different team than they were when they came here in April. Their starting rotation this weekend, probably none of the pitchers that pitched against LSU back in April are going to start this weekend. Zach Lee, Zach Lee is really their ace. He pitched a very brief outing in relief. I want to say it was in game 2. It might have been game 3 in Baton Rouge. The big decision that Nick Mingione is going to have is, does he start Zach Lee opposite Paul Skeens, or does he hold him for game 2? And I don't know what he's going to do, and I don't think he's going to disclose that either. But that's going to be the big decision. Do you throw Zach Lee out there against Skeens and do your best to try to beat Skeens and win game 1 and put yourself in the driver's seat, or do you, in essence, pitch backwards like we saw Mississippi State do, we saw Auburn do, and you hold your best pitcher? But the problem with that is, if you lose to Skeens, then you gotta win the next 2. Now, the other thing too is, I know Kentucky feels like they should have won that series because they led LSU in game 3 in the 7th, and then LSU came back and won it. Actually, if you remember, what ended up being the game-winning run was a hit by pitch with the bases loaded. They hit Tommy White with the bases loaded, and that's how the game-winning run scored. LSU won it 8-7, game 3. But I believe if you ask LSU, they also feel like they should have swept that weekend. LSU lost game 2, and LSU was up 6-3, and that's when Tommy White booted the ball at third, and then the next hit, which would have got him out of the inning, and then the next hitter was when Joe Bear overran the ball in right field and 3 runs scored. So instead of being up 6-3 and continuing to just hammer their pitching like you'd done the night before when you run ruled them, and then say you started in game 2, you're trailing. So anyway, I think LSU feels like they should have swept that series, and Kentucky feels like they should have won the series. So you'll decide it this weekend. Right. Brian Wynn, thoughts on the PGA-LIV merger? Yeah. It's great for golf. All the golfers are going to make more money. The big losers in the whole thing are the people who were super loyal to the PGA and passed on enormous life-changing sums of money to stay with the PGA Tour, only to have a year later the PGA Tour merge with LIV. Idiots. And for everyone who's like, oh, you sold out to the Saudis, it's blood money and this and that. The United States of America imports literally hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil from Saudi Arabia every single day. Look it up. Go look at the charts. The United States buys hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil from Saudi Arabia every day. So oil that makes the gasoline in your car, or plastics that are all over your house, or any number of things, very likely coming from Saudi Arabia. Selective outrage is so annoying to me. It's I could give you a bajillion examples, but I'd rather not, because people choose what they want to be outraged over. all the people that were so incensed over LIV golf, or the golfers leaving, are they just not going to watch the PGA Tour anymore because the PGA Tour now merged with LIV? Selective outrage, man. Be careful. Like, be careful with your outrage, because eventually you're going to turn out to be a hypocrite, and that's what's going to happen here with so many of those golfers and the PGA Tour and everybody who was so adamantly against LIV. I mean, you're still going to watch golf. Anyway. All right, a couple more here. Please smash the like button. Brought to you by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and HUDCO Roofing. You need an orthopedist, go see our friends at Brock. Remember, Brock Rock and Wine, their annual fundraiser coming up July 29th. You can get your tickets at brortho.com, brortho.com. And of course, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. HUDCO's pinned in the chat. Would love it, love it, love it. Would be so grateful if somebody watching right now would click that link, fill out the contact form on the homepage, and let us come do a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Had hail all over South Louisiana this weekend. If you had hail, heavy rain, wind damage, you might have roof damage, and we'd love to give you a free roofing inspection. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Okay. Brett DeGroat, doesn't matter to us who they throw. It's Skeens, Floyd, Hurd if game 3. Yeah, Brett, again, I'm going to say this. Don't be surprised if you see Hurd out of the bullpen in one of the first 2 games. You know, if you have a chance, like, the postseason is different than a regular season series where you set your rotation and you stick to your rotation because you're trying to win a weekend. In this instance, you're trying to win the series. So, you know, if they feel like Hurd's their best option out of the bullpen, and Skeens, let's say Skeens gives you 7 innings and it's a 3-2 ball game, go to Hurd. Go to your best arm to go get you 6 outs and win the game. You have a win now, win this one mentality when you have the opportunity to do it in the postseason and advance in the winner's bracket. Alex DeVilliers, I said we put Hurd in game 1. That's stupid. It's not happening. I'm sorry, Alex. I don't mean to use the S word. A lot of people get upset when I say that. No, that's literally not happening and not in any way going to happen. You have Paul Skeens. He's the biggest advantage in college baseball. You put him on the mound. You go win game 1. You put all the pressure on them to have to come back and win 2. That's not even a question. Gulf South. Yep, everyone benefiting from that oil blood money and don't even know it. Yeah, you really want to make them mad. Bring up who makes the smartphones in our hands. Breezy Bro, what's going on? Well, we're just about done here. Billy McLemore asking about 100.3. Yeah, so Billy, I mentioned a bit ago, for those that haven't heard, unfortunately, the 100.3 in New Orleans KLRZ, their tower got struck by lightning. So that's why we haven't been on the past few days. They're trying to repair their tower. Ron Ritchie, good morning from Vegas. Okay, man. Rode Yule, what's going on? Lowell Cormier. Brandon Bro asking about 100.3. Okay. All right, I think we're done, y'all. I need to bounce. Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Brock, HUDCO, need orthopedics, go to Brock, need roof, give us a shout at HUDCO. And, of course, ProCharge EV and Restored Motions. If you've got pain, book a session with my girl, Krista Poche. She's awesome. She'll bring you out of it. Okay, I got to get going. Y'all have an awesome day. We'll see you. Peace. Whiskey and wine, Scone and tea tonight at Oliver Twist. Peace.